Yo! So with the slew of One Piece content that I have been pushing out to you guys, and I'm actually now starting Punk Hazard, I came to the realization that there are two characters that are a very eerie mirror to each other. And the way that they crawled out of the darkness and try to become their best versions of themselves, I absolutely love the message. And so for today's video, I wanted to sit and break down these two characters on why their growths and their reasons for living. One is more of an extroversive reason and one is more of an introverted reason. I want to sit and break that down with you all today. So before we get too deep into the video, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are on our way to 20,000 subscribers. I would love to have you around. You seem like you're a good person. You seem like you give good hugs. You seem like you smell great. So yeah, make sure you do all that good stuff, or I'm going to be inside of your house tonight, and you definitely don't want to do that. Also, please make sure to join the Discord down in the description below. We be chilling out, hanging out in there. Got fan art, got hot takes, a bunch of foolishness. We abuse our editors and thumbnail artists. It's a great time. Love it. So the main focus of this video is broken down to two characters in particular. You have Nico Robin and Portgas the Ace. Now, Ace is a very interesting thing because we don't have too much information on him when he dies, but after his death we have a lot more exposition and we have a lot more understanding when it comes to his background and character. So as we go through Water 7 and Enies lobby, we start to understand more and more of Robin's character, and it's just covered in tragedy. We have her childhood trauma. The entire island that she grew up on, Ohara, was destroyed by a buster call, and she was branded as a demon child. Nobody wanted her, and we have this self-loathing that she has because her mother dies. All these super nice people that she grew up with, these librarians and these researchers, they all died because of her. That's how she feels. Now, eventually the government was going to come in and find it anyway. We know this, but to a 8 to a 7-year-old child, she doesn't know this, and she's in constant survival mode. She's always on the run. She's taught to believe that her existence is a crime, but we then have Frankie saying, no, existing is not a crime. What happened to you was tragic, but it is not your fault. You were a child in unfortunate happenstance. And Enies lobby is Robin at her emotional low. She's convinced that she is a burden, and she is convinced that she is not worth saving. And we have the Straw Hats forcing the world to hear her say, I want to live. And that was her turning point. With Robin, her will to live and her idea of the world totally shifted when she encountered the Straw Hats. With the Straw Hats, they, specifically Luffy, they were trying to sell this message that yes, you are important, you are loved. And Robin had to come to the understanding that yes, there are things in this world that I want to do. They are important enough that I don't want to throw them away at the whim of some government force or just some third party that just wants to do me or the people that I love harm. We had to be sold this idea to Robin that yes, you matter, and what you want is important. And she had to come and acknowledge that outwardly to herself and beg the Straw Hats, please take me with you. That's why this moment is so emotional for me, because she says, I want to live. And while yes, that's a fantastic line in and of itself, when she says, take me out to the sea with you, she wants to be with her newfound family. So we have a key shift here. We go from living in isolation and fear to choosing to live because others saw value in her. She couldn't even argue this. This is an insurmountable fact. She has value. And from a psychological angle, we have classic symptoms of depression, isolation, self-loathing, emotional suppression. Every time the Straw Hats tried to get close in Water 7, she would always push them away, and she would say, I want nothing to do with you people, I'm not worth your time, and all this. But Robin survives because she's eventually given something bigger than fear to stick to, and that is connection. That's her newfound family. And it's internally where a lot of this work comes in, and I love how Oda presents this idea to Robin's psyche. Then we jump over to Ace. Now with Ace is born as the son of Gol D. Roger, the king of the pirates. Something very similar that we see, he is regarded as a demon child. He lived his whole life believing he shouldn't exist. He's constantly asking people, as a young 10-year-old boy, should I have even been born? And so he has this anger, this fire within him. No pun intended. No pun intended. Seriously. I don't have a script written. This is just me going off the dome. No, shut the fuck up. Why am I still talking? But there's two instances of Ace actually having his whole entire worldview flipped around. We have when Luffy attaches to him and he can't shake Luffy off of him as much as he tries, and when he actually sees that Luffy is taking this beating as a very, very young kid, and he refuses to rat out Ace and Sabo, Ace asks him, what is your problem? Why won't you leave me alone? And Luffy tells him, I'll have nobody else. Well, yes, Luffy has his grandfather. His grandfather wants him to become a Marine. He wants him to become a military man. That's not what Luffy wants. That's not what he wants to do. He can't really relate to his grandfather. His grandfather's not really around. He doesn't have any peers. He doesn't really have any friends like that. He grew up with a bunch of bandits, but they really don't want him. You know what I mean? His dad is this big revolutionary. He knows nothing about his father. We have no information on Luffy's mother so far. I'm a punk hazard. I don't know anything about Luffy's mother. She could be, I don't know, somebody super important. I have no idea. But then Ace looks at Luffy, and Luffy, when he says, would you be sad if I died? And Luffy responds, of course. That dramatically changes the course of Ace's life from there on. And then he actually has something to look forward to. He's like, all right, now you're my wimpy little brother. Now I have to take care of you, right? And so then we have Ace, Sabo, and Luffy joining together in their own respective, adolescence and coming together as brothers and swearing to have their own adventures and stories to tell, and then meeting up eventually later on in life. And then you have Whitebeard. Now with Whitebeard, it's interesting because, again, we have this theme of family. Whitebeard never wanted to become the king of the pirates like Gol D. Roger did. He didn't ever want to secure his own nation. He didn't want to conquer the seas. He wanted to be a warlord of the sea and all of this good stuff. He was revered as a Yonko for his pure strength, but it was never something that he aspired to be. He wanted a family. When he talks about his crew, he refers to them as his sons, and he means this. He does not actually joke around and fuck around when he says this. He literally treats them as his own sons, right? Every single person that's a part of his crew, he loves and cares for. And so when we go to Marineford, we see how hard his crew is fighting for him. They feel like that's their father. Pops! Oh, Jesus! Like, they are freaking out on his behalf because he's dying. Tons and tons and tons of these people were ride or dies for Whitebeard. Understandably so. He was that nigga, bro. I don't think I glazed Whitebeard enough in my Marineford video. You're most likely seeing this after I recorded that. I don't think I glazed Whitebeard enough. Do you realize how insane you are to grab a giant's face at the start of the battle when you have stage 3 cancer and crack his face just fucking like he literally stopped like Noah's Ark with one hand after he got shot and stabbed, and he said, wait, we can't do this. Nah, bro, he was different. Nah, he is not a human being. Whitebeard's an alien. That's my conspiracy theory. Whitebeard is not a real person. That's not a human being. I refuse to believe it. No. Nah. Now, Ace initially did not want to join Whitebeard. He constantly tried to kill him, but as time went on, he gradually started to attach himself to Whitebeard. Very similar in a situation to Thorfinn and Askeladd from Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga, Askeladd kills Thorfinn's father, and Thorfinn swears to kill him one day, but they end up spending so much time together. When Askeladd finally dies, Thorfinn has this break in his psyche where he's like, no, you have to get up. He learned so much from Askeladd, spent so much time with him, but he still can't come to this understanding that this man did a very, very bad thing to me, but I also care for him. I care for the man that did this to me. He just doesn't understand this as a young man. Vinland Saga is easily top 5 shows of mine, in my opinion. I don't care what anybody says about season 2. That was peak. Yume, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, bitch ass nigga. I'm talking to you, Yume. Season 2 was peak. But Ace's last words to Luffy were, thank you for loving me. And this shows that his life wasn't wasted. He never internalized that love. He actually lived to protect, but he never lived for himself. And I think that this is a very, very interesting dichotomy between these two. The psychological angle with Ace is it's masked by this bravado and this sheer loyalty, this sheer attachment to all of these people that they feel give them worth, right? If you are ever, if you know anybody that has psychological issues that they deal with, such as depression, when you show them love, when you show them kindness, it may not be immediate, but when they attach themselves to you because of that kindness, it's a very, very strong bond. This is why I always say, make sure you take care of people. Make sure you always check in on your friends, even if you think it's something minor. Things like this matter, right? That kindness is life-changing for some people. Luffy didn't think that Ace was going through all of this, but it changed the course of Ace's life. Well, I guess he died prematurely. He died at a young age. He still died happy. He still died protecting his little brother. And actually, when Aikanu insulted Whitebeard, Ace didn't walk away. He sacrificed his life to defend a symbol, not his own future. He wasn't thinking about himself in that moment, because if he was, they most likely would have gotten out of there and Ace wouldn't have died, or possibly Luffy could have died. But he was thinking of a symbol. He was thinking about Whitebeard's name. He was like, don't ever disrespect my father like that. Don't ever disrespect Pops like that. And ultimately, Ace didn't believe that he had value outside of protecting others. This was a classic externalization of his worth. And so we have 5 things that we need to kind of look with the mirrors of Nico Robin as well as Portgas Ace. We have their core beliefs. Nico Robin's core belief was, I am a burden, and then it shifts to, I want to live. And then Ace's core belief was, I shouldn't have been born. And then it shifts to, I must live for this other person. And the turning point for Nico Robin is Annie's lobby, when the Straw Hats affirm her. And then the turning point for Ace is Luffy, and Luffy telling him, hey, if without you, I have nothing. Then we also have the source of worth. So with Nico Robin, her source of worth was found in value of herself and her crew and their adventures, and coming to understand that what she wants to live for is just as important as everybody else. It does not mean that she needs to sacrifice herself. It is okay to try to find a way out without resorting to self-destruction. And then for Ace's self-worth, we have his self-worth being only felt through others, as I've explained again. And the result of Nico Robin is that she actually chooses life. She chooses to live. But with Ace, he chooses sacrifice. He chooses to die for somebody else, which he never would have thought he would do. And now for number 5, we have legacy. Now for Nico Robin, her legacy is that she wants to survive, to carry on history, and make sure that all of these great, wonderful, or even terrible and horrible things are written down in history and cannot be forgotten, as she was shown by the researchers in Ohara. And then Ace is left with the legacy that he ultimately died for his family, that he never would have thought that he would have had. Now, why this matters, depression isn't just sadness. It's about worth, identity, and the reason to keep going. But Nico Robin and Ace represent 2 sides of that coin. Robin shows that healing is possible whenever we're accepted and learn to accept ourselves, but then Ace shows the tragedy of someone who couldn't see his own self-worth even when others did. So Oda actually kind of presents a question to us viewers, and I want you to comment down below how you feel about this question. Is living for others enough if you cannot live for yourself? I don't necessarily think that there is a right answer to this. I think that anybody who has experienced any sort of tragedy or sadness in their life is going to have a different answer, and different layers to it. I'd be very curious to see your respective thoughts on this, especially parents. There are tons of people that I have encountered who are parents who aren't, super thrilled with their lives, but they must live on for their children, and want to make sure that anything that happened to them doesn't happen to their children, doesn't get passed down, such as generational curses and things of that nature. So maybe the lesson is that love can't just be received, it has to be believed. It has to actually work on the inside like a seed, and no matter how small that love is, when it actually grows and sprouts, it'll help you become a version of yourself that you could never imagine a future with. Maybe, I don't know. If you guys would like more One Piece videos like this, please make sure you leave a like and leave a comment down below. And yeah, it's me, Daffy, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this video, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all make sure you take care of yourselves and have a good one. Wait, hold on. Before y'all leave, hold on. Don't look good in this tank top, though. Y'all can't see my stomach. My stomach needs a little more work. But like, don't I look good, don't check? You know what I'm saying? Ooh, you know what I'm saying? Wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait. Somebody make an edit of me real quick. Hold on. Wait, hold on. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Oh, God, I'm so weird. I'm so weird.